Trying to get our technical difficulties
Somebody didn't have it right. I'm calling no names. Oh, that'll do it. Hey.
Hey, y'all.
Hello. Welcome in. Come on in.
Trying to get our technical difficulties together real fast.
Woo.
Come on in. Ooh, I can't see
Right.
the comments right there.
You have to pull the comments up on right
I know. Oh, Jesus. Hey, y'all. We coming. Hold on 1 second.
there.
Give us 1 second. Hey, y'all. Let's be real.
Alright.
Hey, y'all. Come on in. I can't see. You have to pull up on your phone. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all.
Skylar.
Yes, I see Skylar. I see MzBee.
All right, MzBee is in the building somewhere.
Hey, y'all. Welcome. Can y'all hear us?
Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear.
Let me know if you can hear us. Dog and cat.
That is us.
Can you guys hear us? You can hear us? Good job. Hey, everybody.
Oh, wow. That's a whole lot of hearts and a whole lot of
Yes,
thumbs up.
hey,
All right.
Welcome to Real Talk with J and K. I am Kat.
And I am Jay, the better half of K and J.
Okay, y'all know this about to be some foolery, right? Okay. So you guys can hear us. We're good. Good.
Yep. All right. So welcome in. This is the first installment of K and J Real Talk, sponsored by and negotiated and strong-armed by the one and only MzBee. So at this time, I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'll let my wife go ahead and do that. My name is Jay Baker. I am the better half of the family. This is my wife, Katrina Lawson Baker, of course, a.k.a. Kat.
Yes.
And we're here to kind of entertain any questions that you may have, explore, expound, hopefully have some fun, inspire, and laugh. Definitely laugh.
Well, like you said, I am Kat, and this is our first installment episode of Real Talk with K and J. We kind of just want to sit back, chill, talk about topics like the post that I said all day, love, relationships, and everything in between. We kind of want to, just talk about our story. Our story, which is very, very unique for the people that know us, they know, but we kind of just want to talk about the things that, relationships are hard. We all know that. If you've ever been in one, it's hard. But we just kind of want to talk about, answer questions about our relationship, tell you guys a little bit about our relationship, what it takes for us to make us work. And just kind of, just want to hang out and chill. Nice little atmosphere where we can just be real, open, honest about, questions and comments and, just like I said, talk about us. Do we need to move out of the comments?
Oh, which one? You can if you want to. We can work it.
It down?
No. If you move out of the comments, I think we'll be good.
Yeah, MzBee, he did try it, and I'm sure he will continue to try it.
So at this time, now that we've kind of introduced ourselves and laid all of the responsibility back on MzBee to make sure that this thing goes right, we're here to entertain your questions and just talk about life, love, happiness. Sometimes there's a little strife, that's going to happen in a relationship. So we're going to talk about that as well. Again, our story is very unique. This is 20 plus years in the making. So, when I first met her, she just had to have me. I wasn't ready yet. No, just playing. So we went back to college days back in 1995, where we first met in college. First light-skinned person I ever dated, because I was against dating light-skinned people. But there was something about this young lady that kind of made me change my mind and do to try to pursue her. And that was a long process. You're talking about a situationship, that's kind of where we started. And it grew and evolved over time, and now we are where we are, and we're happy about it. But interesting enough, I'm going to let her tell the story just to see if, as the old folks say, if she can recollect what actually happened back then in 95.
Really? Yeah. Like you said, this has been in the making for a very long time. We've known each other for about 25 years. We've been together for 7 and married for 3. So yeah, that's a lot in between there that went on. Okay. I met him through friends when we were in college, and I had no interest in him whatsoever. None whatsoever. But we were really good friends in college. Fast forward, after college, we lost contact for many, many years. I lived my life, he lived his life. About 13 or so years after we graduated, a mutual friend of ours from college reconnected us, ironically enough, through Facebook. And that's now history. Like I said, we've been together for 7 years and married for 3. Everybody knows that nothing is perfect, but we make the best of this situation to make it perfect for us. We have friends that are like, you guys are, couple goals or whatever. We just live life the way we like to live life. We enjoy doing the things that we enjoy doing, and our journey from 1995 up until we reconnected in 2013. We lived life. I went through what I went through. I had to do my journey. He went through what he went through, and his journey took him where it took him. And when we came together, all the things that we learned, it made us who we are. It makes us who we are because we learned, and we continue to learn now. Every day. It's a learning process. You never get, you never are there. It's always a journey. It's always something new. You have to make it that, a priority for your other to be something new, to explore, to adventure. It's easy to get bored. I think that's why so many people, don't make it in relationships, is because they get bored and they're not willing to invest in the person that they're with to, figure out, what do we need to do to take this to the next level. And I think our goal is always, baby, what's the next level? Where do we go from here? What do we do to keep us together for the next however many years God has promised us together? And that's always my thing. People always say, you guys look so happy. We are happy, even though everybody has what they have. But we put our happiness above everything else that comes along the way.
All right. So this Dwayne, looks like you had a question here about just how has the pandemic affected us And has the pandemic kind of drawn us closer? For us, we never stopped. We were all essential workers. We'll cross the bridge of what essential worker actually means to me. I am not a nurse, firefighter, or police, although I used to. I'm actually a director of a homeless shelter here in Burlington, North Carolina. So we never stopped moving. We did not close. We're a 24/7 facility. So it took a lot of time and a lot of preparation to get to that point. As far as how it has affected us, I think because we never stopped moving, what we found is that Trina was off for about 2 weeks from her job. So we found that it kind of drew us closer because I'm at work and Trina's at home. I really could be at home. I'm a firm believer in empowerment of staff, empowerment of the people that I work with. That's 2 years in the making. So they were empowered. They knew what to do. I could kind of come home and hang out, chill out, and I could work by the phone. Being at a nonprofit and running a nonprofit, what you find is usually there's only 2 individuals that are salaried employees. That would be the executive director and maybe the finance director. So everybody else is still what we call, hourly wages. So what we try to do there is I focused on making sure that they were all employed, gainfully employed, and they were continuing to work. But at the same time, because it's my job and because it's about people, sometimes you do come home and you bring that baggage. The frustration of how to take care of individuals who are homeless. We're a very unique shelter in the fact that not only do we have a homeless shelter, but we also run a community kitchen that's open free of charge Monday through Friday to all of the community. And so that's the entire county. That is without restriction. Last year alone, we served over 35,000 meals to homeless or needy individuals. And what we do with that is that's a point of education for us. How to make your ends meet, how to utilize what we call our community kitchen. We gave it a name. I was not a fan of community kitchen. I'm not a fan of soup kitchen because we don't serve soup. That was one of the first changes that I made, is that in our community kitchen, we serve full meals. So we're serving chicken and we're serving rice and potatoes and green beans. So if you followed Trina on her Facebook page, you've probably seen many of those kind of meals. So coming home from the frustrations of 40 and 50 other individuals and be able to come home and kind of deal with your rock and bounce ideas off of an individual. And when I come up with ideas, it's great to bounce them off because I'm a big expectation guy. I expect excellence. I believe that if you start that way, you end that way. One of my dad's famous phrases is, if you stay prepared, you don't have to get prepared. So that's kind of how we navigate. We are each other's comforter. And that's through all things. I have a long employment history. I've been a director 3 or 4 times. I was a director of foster care. I retired from corrections after 22 years, and I kind of didn't want to be an executive director. I was kind of good with just being a regular worker. But somebody had plans other. And the day that they offered me the executive director position that I had turned down 3 times prior, my first response was, I need to come home and check with the missus because that's a lifestyle change. Not only am I now responsible for 8 hours out the day, but as the executive director, I'm responsible for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So having that open conversation with your mate is very important. And that's on all levels. That's from what are we eating today to does my outfit look okay? Really, connecting and doing the things that we need to do. What you think?
For me, it, like you said, I had, time at home, and I'm so interested in the things that he does that it's easy for me to want to know what he's doing, to, want to connect with him outside of our personal life. His professional life is a big part of our life. So, his job, it comes home, and I'm his peace, his comforter, his all that kind of stuff. So it can be really frustrating, but you have to set those precedents at the beginning of whatever the situation is. I always ask for bigger and better for him and for us. And when I ask for that, I have to be prepared for what comes with that. We pray that we want peace, that we want this, that we want that. And God will send you that in a way that you like, okay, hold on, God. Wait a minute. Wait. Mm-hmm. But you asked me to give you this. So now, it's even in the beginning when we first started dating, we struggled. No lie, we struggled. Because he was coming out of his situation. I was, good with being by myself, as we all say. I don't need no man on whatever. I was that high strong, independent. I don't need you, whatever. But it was like you have to take a step back from yourself sometimes and like, okay, why is this happening? What's happening right now and why? And the thing, we struggled, we went through the things, but we had to sit down and have conversations, real hard conversations. And in the beginning, it was like, I'm questioning God, like, hold up, God. I know that this is not, you didn't send me this right here for me to, but you have to be real with yourself. We hear MzBee say it all the time. You have to be real with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to ask the hard questions. You have to hear the truth and be okay with hearing the truth, even though it might not sound like what you want to hear. It might not be what you want to hear.
Correct.
But you have to be willing. A relationship is work. A marriage is work. When we got married, that wasn't the, okay, I'm married, we done. That wasn't it. More work comes when you get married, because it's not only me, it's not only him, it's us. Everything we do is about us. Mm-hmm. Every decision that we make, it affects us. Whatever I do, it's not only affects me, it affects him as well. So we had to sit down and we had to talk. We still do it now. I asked for a whole lot of things. Like I said, when he took over, he's working 80 hours a week. As a woman, I'm feeling some kind of way like, okay, you not home enough, but I asked God for bigger and greater for you. So that means that you have to work more. I want, the more you want, the more you have to do. And I was like, okay, I asked for it, but I want him at home.
So we got some good questions here. MzBee, is it possible to really be your mate's best friend and share everything?
Absolutely.
If you want your mate to be your best friend, which you should, because you want to grow, you want to do those things, I would tell you yes. There's some hard conversations that I have to have. I am probably the only African-American male executive director in Alamance County. One of the things that I took as a mantle for me was that I just don't do the regular. I'm not normal. I don't want to be normal. Everything has to be above board. My staff call me bougie at work, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. But if you're really wanting to make that connection and you're really wanting to have that peace, which probably why MzBee, we communicate so well together without saying a lot of stuff, because we've both are coming out of what we came out of. We're looking at how do we survive? How do we become greater? Many of you may know by now. If you don't, I'll share it. I am probably one of the most proudest members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I am that dog. I am. And most of you, if you're familiar with that, you know that we're kind of up in your face, aggressive. That's who I am. You can't make it in this world with someone if you're not able to dial that back a little bit and really have conversations and say, hey, I know I'm a little aggressive at times and I may be a little extra, but let me run some things by you. And that's important. That is very important. I saw another question that talked about the first year blues.
Yes.
I'm not sure that there's a first year blues. I would kind of go to the second year. Your first year blues, it's really not blues. If you were with the right one, and I'm going to say this, and people may call it what it is. If you're with the right one for the moment, meaning that you've kind of made that move, and everything was all pointing toward, the sun, the moon, and the stars, you're great. That first year kind of goes. It's that second year. That second year is when you start to think about sustainability and building and what is our purpose. When is the house coming, right? When is the house with the picket fence? When are we going to get these cars that we talked about? When are we going to start to go on these vacations? And then one of the things that most couples don't talk about a lot is how are we going to save that money, right? We talk about it at work. One person wants, I have a bank account and my husband have a bank account and we don't share anything. That's kind of not the route we took. I do have a bank account. She has a bank account, but we have an account, right? And we probably have 2 or 3 accounts, to be honest. We have that account to save money. We have that account to travel. And then you got to take care of yourself. Part of being in a unit is remembering in order to have a unit, there were 2 individuals that came together. You got to kind of take care of yourself, If you like things, if you like items, before you get married, getting married doesn't mean that you shouldn't like them, right? Like my whole wardrobe when we got married, I probably had 75 purple shirts and 2 shirts with other colors. That was it. And you'll probably see me throughout these Wednesdays donning purple. One of the things that I always did was I have my shirts made because I want my shirts to say something. Like this shirt actually says eracism. But they'll all be purple and gold. And there's always a message. There's always something that we're trying to pursue. But that second year is when you really hone in on what you're doing. And you're really setting that life mission. You may have had conversations prior to, but you're still getting used to each other. You're still trying to figure out who talks, who needs what side of the bathroom, who sleeps on the same side of the bed, who has to have this toilet paper, who has to have this toothpaste. But when you get into the grit, that second year is when you start to build. And as you start to build, it can be a beautiful thing. We just got to keep doing what we're doing.
And to that, the 2 people coming together to become one, but you're still your own person. And that was hard for me because I wanted him to be what I wanted him to be. I wanted him to do what I wanted him to do. But it took a conversation, him to say, look, we need to sit down and we need to talk. I am who I am, and there are things that will change, as we grow together, as we become, the what we desire to be, as we figure out our purpose, and as we move forward in life together. Is now people say, we act just alike. His mom told us yesterday, y'all starting to look alike. It's like those kind of things. But I like what I like. He likes what he like. And of course, together we like what we like. But you have to remember that you can't make him be what you want him to be, even though in your picking and choosing, being chosen, there's always this list. He had a list as well. And it was super hard for me. And he was like, okay, whatever you say to me, you have to give me the time. You have to allow me to process and not just respond to you like 2.5 seconds. That creates all kinds. And that was a struggle for me.
Preach.
It was a struggle for me. When we would have hard conversations, he would say, you have to allow me time to process what we just talked about. I don't respond in the same way that you do. So you have to give me that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Whatever. But it is, like I said, it is a growing thing. It's a learning thing. It never stops. It never stops. I can, when we're together, we can finish each other's sentence. We can be in the store and pick up the same item at the same time. In time, stuff like that happens. It just comes. And life, like I said, we're going to talk about just life in general. At this point, I wouldn't want to live my life with anybody else. All the things that I asked God for, all the things that I continue to pray about, because I have to pray for him. It's a journey. It is a journey, and I have to keep myself, grounded. I have to keep myself strong. I have to keep myself, because I am his rib. I am his rock. I'm his biggest supporter. I'm his cheerleader, his fan. I'm all of that. If he's going, I'm going too. But that doesn't come with just being in a relationship. It just doesn't come because I took his last name. It just doesn't come because of that. It becomes that when you put in work. You have to put in work.
Charlie, girl, you got some good questions over here. Charlie is on the road. Charlie Lynette. I'm like the whole name. All right. So Charlie's asking, is there such thing as taking in too many topics at one time, such as, am I saving? Do we need a new car? Do we need buying a house? And can you do that at once? There is, Charlie. Comes a point where you're putting too much on your plate.
Yes.
But just little nuggets that we've kind of learned. A lot of what we're talking about also goes to your ability to provide. So let's go back to household incomes. Let's go back to the reality check, right? One person gets together with another person. Hey, we double our income. We should be good. Not necessarily, because many times you've doubled your bills, right? So what you have to do at that point is you really have to step back and take a great assessment of where you are. Again, 22 years in corrections, and I retired. I had been in the military. And our struggle was that we were kind of good people on our own. I could do whatever I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it. And to be honest, that's what I was doing. And I think the same with Katrina. And when we got together, there had to be an understanding and meeting of the minds about, hey, you can still be you, but how do we become a we? So maybe, Charlie, to answer your point, maybe those three topics may be too much to begin with. Maybe that conversation should be, what is more important to us, right? Is creating a savings account more important to us? And I would urge you, if that's your number one, understand too that saving needs to be equated with building your credit and keeping good credit and getting your credit scores in check. All of that is evolving around that money management. And then the rest kind of come to the success. Are we ready to buy cars? Well, if you save your money and you worked on your credit, then when it's time to get the car, there's no down payment. There's a cheaper interest rate. And coming from a family where my dad didn't believe in used cars, I know everyone says, but they're new to you. You have to learn those things. And then you set your priorities. So savings for us was very important. I think the house came second. And then from there, I had a car. She already had a car. And we had cars. Cars were great. They're not giving us any mechanical problems. And we've been talking about buying a car for the last year and a half. And we still haven't done it. Just because we feel like, what's good is good. And again, once you become billless, or you don't have a lot of bills, or you have not paid that car note for a while, you do not want to see that envelope come on the 5th of every month. So, those are just things. So, Charlie, I hope I'm helping you out. I hope we're helping you out. And I'm hoping those things are we can keep those going.
So Dwayne wants to know, how did you know she is the one I prayed and God answered that? How did you know, and how did I know? For me, I knew because we had not been in contact for 13 years. 13 years, no no contact, no whatever. And out of the blue, at 2 a.m. in the morning, a mutual friend of ours reached out to me on Facebook and said, his exact words were, "Hey, guess who I'm with?" I have no clue. It's 2 in the morning. Don't know. And he messaged me back and he said, "I'm with Jay." And I'm like, "Okay, tell the stranger I said hi." I was done with it. Done. He was like, "No." He said, "Call him like right now." I'm like, "No, I haven't spoken to, saw, heard of in 13 years." And then it was like we talked from 2 in the morning till the sun came up, till he had to go to work, come back. We talked for another 8, 10, 12 hours. And it just, in conversation, it was just like, okay, Lord, after all these years, where did he come from and why is he here? I question everything. Why is he here? I'm single over here enjoying my life. No problems, no nothing. Where did he come from and why? And it was just I would hear things. Just hear things like, okay, you've been saying you want this and you want this and you want this, and it's just like
flipping over feet.
Dwayne, in the beginning, I don't know, because we dated long distance for the first year. Our first year we dated long distance. We did a lot of traveling. We did a lot of talking on the phone. And in that time, like I said, we were just talking. Mm-hmm. We talked for the entire first year because he was 12 hours away. So we got to, know each other. We got to, talk about things that had happened. We talked, and we talked a lot. And it was just that one day in conversation, it was like, he was like, "Okay, so you ready to meet now?" I'm like,
that's how it went.
Okay, and it was just kind of, and me the whole time, I'm still like, okay, Lord, why is he here? Where he come from? But it took time because, like I said, we had to have a lot of hard conversations when we decided that we were going to give this thing a go. There was a lot of stuff that we had to talk about. Because, like I said, we come from way back, and there was a lot of stuff that we had to talk about.
So, for me, just based on, we dated in college. Neither one of us was strong enough upon graduation to say, maybe we should have stayed with each other, so we went our separate ways. And I think going through experiences with other women, and those kind of not working out, it kind of sharpened the saw. It kind of made me understand really what I wanted and how I wanted it. So as we started dating back and forth, sometimes people are put in your path and we're quick to write them off. Sometimes you need to give them time and let the Lord kind of whisper in your ear why they're in your path. One of the things for me was, at the time we met, I was not on social media. I detested social media, couldn't stand social media. I'm kind of very old school in a way. If you wanted to talk to me, you pick up the phone and you call. Don't text me. I don't have all day to be texting you back and forth. Call me, say what you got to say, and let's get it done. What happened was, I found out about 45 days later that all of that had changed. I had Messenger on my phone, Facebook on my phone, Instagram on my phone, Hangout was on my phone. I'm talking to her more in a year than I probably talked to women in years. And then there was the trust factor. So when you start to share and disclose your secrets, it's the response. And I think as we start to do this on Wednesday, we'll kind of talk about that dynamic between how do you respond when individuals share things. So that goes back to some of our earlier questions about how do you interact. When you're having a mate and you're trying to create that union, the way you react when individuals are sharing their stories is very important. If you ever want to set the tone, how you respond is just as important as how you say what you say. Again, I'm very direct. So to be able to have a woman in my life who kind of understood that. Cat got that whip appeal. How to understand that. And yeah, she is great in the kitchen, MzBee. Great. So mashed potatoes are great. One of the things that was important for me was to be able to sit down and talk. To be able to say I've had all of these things. This is what I have not had, right? And what I have not had was something that was great, something that was solid, something that was built on biblical proportions, so to speak. And that was important for me. And once I was able to share that, once I was able to realize, and when we say long distance dating, we're talking about, we talked on the phone every day for 4 or 5 months before we decided that we were going to meet. And I think the reason why we did that was both of us were searching for a connection. Once we felt like we had the connection, it is what it is. Your brother drove 12 hours in a rainstorm to get here to meet her again. And that's kind of how it worked. So, things were there. We blossomed, we groomed, we became friends before we did anything else.
Absolutely.
We had made love 20-something years ago, but we were okay. We became friends, and that solidified what we had together.
Dwayne said, so what made you pop the question? No, let me tell this story, Dwayne. It wasn't a pop the question.
She asked me.
It wasn't a pop the question. Like I said, we became friends during, it was a whole process. So we were like, okay, you know what? I'm good with you. I like you. We good together. And it wasn't. And one day we were sitting having a conversation, and in the middle of the conversation, it was just kind of a look at each other, and it was like, okay, so why are we not married? It really wasn't a question. He didn't get down on his knee and ask me to marry. He didn't do it. Was just, we were in conversation. Whatever the conversation was about, it was just to kind of turn to each other and look at each other and like, okay, so why are we not married? And we were like, we don't know. Why aren't we married? So, we had another conversation. And then it was kind of like, we went home to visit our parents. And we were laying across the bed. And this was in July. And he was like, so we're going to get married before this year is over with. So, I need months to plan my wedding, whatever. He was like, no, you have until the end of the year. It's July. We got married in October. So it wasn't that whole, but it worked. I was okay with, I'm me. I am what I am, and I like what I like. I didn't need that big extravagant proposal I was okay with not having any of that. I wanted what I had with him, and that was more important to me than anything. The ring, all that kind of stuff, that was like, okay, it's, but it was just like, we were having a conversation. It was like, why aren't we married? And in another conversation, it was like, okay, you got until the end of this year and we're going to be married. Like, okay, who does that? But we did that. Like I said, from July to October, we were married in October.
So Dwayne says he's ready to pop the question. Traditionalism, being traditional, getting on one knee, setting the stage. Again, Dwayne, that's not kind of about us.
It works for some people.
That's kind of for the lady in your life. But it doesn't work for every couple. And that doesn't work for every couple. So I see that your lady wants a proposal, and that's okay. That goes back to who you are as an individual. And again, the proposal is much about her, but the proposal is also about you. Because before the yes and that vulnerability comes the ask and your vulnerability. So you have to figure out, what are you comfortable doing? Is it a big party? Is it a wine and dine? Is it the glass and the champagne? Is it the ring and the champagne glass? Those are things that you for yourself have to work out, because you need to be comfortable when you make that proposal. I have some friends who've kind of gone all out with some $15,000 proposals and all kind of stuff. And one of the things that we always talked about after it was over with was, dude, I wasn't comfortable doing that. So make sure that when you do it, Dwayne, that A, you're going to honor her, because of course you're proposing. That's going to make it. But B, make sure, Dwayne, that you're comfortable in the way that you present it. I could see me just doing a simple dinner that I cooked with a ring and something, because that's what I do. I'm not a big, let's go to the club, rent the club, and invite 1,500 people for me to confess my love, because people who know us know where we are, and I'm good with that. But don't forget about you as yourself, Dwayne. Don't forget about you. Make sure that you're comfortable. Make sure that you're engaging and you're moving to that part, because that takes the pressure off of you. If you're not comfortable popping the question, then maybe it's not time to pop the question. That's kind of like we talked about buying a car. We want a car, but this is not the time to get the car. I get it. There it is. He's private. So that's a one-on-one thing. That's a one-on-one thing.
But they have big families.
Okay. Well, the proposal does not have to technically include all of the family. Because if that's the case, then you got to get everybody together. That's the logistical nightmare in some point. But for you, and this is just my advice, and I'm just one guy. I'm just one guy. I want you to be comfortable. You're private, which means she has accepted your privacy, by the way. So you've probably had those conversations back and forth. I would definitely do it with your flair, but also honor her in that process. I'm pretty sure she's already spoken about who just has to be there, right? Mama, daddy, grandmama, somebody's already said who has to be there. Honor that part, but also make sure that you're comfortable. Me and Dwayne gonna talk offline. I like Dwayne. I'm ready. I thought about it okay.
But it like you said, but that it has to be you, what you feel is right for you, even though it was, gonna become us. It was at that moment that he was like, okay, I'm ready. I was like, most women, the dream is to be married to, whatever. But it has to be right for each of you, not just for her. Not just for her to plan the big wedding to whatever. You're going to be a part of all that. So you have to be okay in that as well. Nothing is about one person when you are with somebody.
True.
All of your decisions affect the both of you. Whatever you do, wherever you do, whatever you do, it affects the both of you. And that's always something that you have to be conscious of. Big decisions, little decisions, something rash, whatever, they affect the both of you. So you have to always take that into consideration. I mean, we wanted the most important people in our life to be at our wedding, and that is exactly what happened. We had a very small wedding, but it was like the best day of my life. And everything that went into that was for the both of us. It wasn't because I wanted the big fluffy dress. I wanted the this, the that, the whatever. I wanted the what came after that. After all that was over, after the show was done or whatever, I wanted what would come after that. My life with him after that. After the day that I became Mrs. Baker.
So yeah.
It was on from that point. It was on from that point. And all of that had to be about the both of us. It couldn't just be about me. It couldn't just be about him. And like I said, our first year was a bliss. It was a bliss. The second year is when we had to sit down and talk to each other. Like you said, about the things that we had to talk about. And in order for us to keep growing together, in order for us to, reach those goals, in order for us to live our life on purpose, there are things that we had to talk about. And there are things that we still talk about, and we will continue. Because if you don't talk about those things, they only become the things that you hate, the things that you don't want to come home to, the things that, they go all other kind of places other than sitting down and talking to the people that it affects. Sit down and talk about it.
And, Dwayne, sounds like you're on the right track. Again, honor yourself in that process.
Absolutely.
Quiet is kept. I'm about as private of a person too. I don't know how MzBee and Trina talked me into doing this. But there's some things, but I don't mind sharing because I'm resolute and I stand on all 10 of my toes and my feet, and nobody's going to rock me off my square. When you talked about how do you know when you got the right one, is when you can't find the right ring. She'll never tell it, and she'll probably deny it, but I'm not going to say it out loud. I want somebody to ask the question on live. So ask the question like, how many wedding rings does she have? And then we'll talk about that. MzBee has a question, says, what advice would you all give to a couple that just can't seem to flow in the same direction and on the same accord? Well, first, that means that we probably don't have direction, MzBee. I would probably come back to you and say, there's two directions. And we have not had that conversation to narrow it down to one direction. When you're in a union, there's a two-lane road, there's a 6-lane highway. All of those things lead in two directions. I get that. But ultimately, when you park and you sit and you're trying to create this humble abode that we're all trying to create, where life is what we want, right? Life is love, love is life. You got to narrow down what it is that you want. And what you find out is the thing that you agree on, that's what you attack. Yep, we're going to get to that, MzBee. That's what you attack. You attack that because then, because of the single emotion, it creates more opportunities. When you don't have a single emotion, it doesn't create opportunity because you're both striving and butting heads against each other. So my unexpert advice, of course, would be to tell you to find that one common bond, that one thread. Focus on that. As you start to focus down I-85 headed to the ATL, then you see a whole lot of exits that the both of you may want to go off onto. I'm a big guy on analogies. I love analogies, probably from my background. Think about just going down the highway and you see we're going to Atlanta, but we know that on the way to Atlanta, we pass 3 outlet malls. We also know that one of them, we will never stop a day in our life. But when we get to the outlet exits, we both look at each other and say, hey, do we want to go there? So there are detours that you can make, but find that one singular thing that works for you. Work in that direction and then watch the tree, and the branches kind of open up and you'll find yourself going in many directions together.
So everybody is guessing how many wedding rings I have. But that's not even, the question is, why do I have the number of wedding rings that I have? And the answer to that question is, what's the why? I'm going to give the number, but what's the why?
Oh, the why was because when I did it, I was going to do it according to my style and according to what I felt I needed to do. And there was a style that she liked. So she got the style that she liked. But there was also a style that Big Daddy liked. So Big Daddy had to go get what Big Daddy had to go get to set it off. Translation to that is, she's spoiled. That's what it is.
Whatever.
But go ahead.
I have 4. I do. I have 4.
they were all not just bought haphazardly. She works a job that she moves a lot with her hands. And so when I bought the ring that I thought she should have, I think one of the biggest concerns was if she comes home and this diamond just happened to be chipped, slipped, cracked, or broken, it may be some disharmony and discord up in the Baker household. Because we weren't going to go back and purchase that ring a second time. So what I did was I then ventured to buy her a wedding band that she can wear to work that doesn't have the high set and the diamond, and it's just kind of flat. Because what I wanted to do, I'm a big believer in taking care of her. I'm a big believer in taking care of her. One of the things that I talked about, ladies, was you never want to be that guy that's standing on the side and there's 5 or 6 ladies and they're kind of looking over their shoulder and they're pointing at you and you laughing. They're laughing and you think you've done something, but they're really laughing at you for something that you didn't do. I didn't want to be that dude. And if a ring really meant that it showed the amount of love that I had, then I was going to show it. And I think she's happy with the ring. I don't know that it can get any bigger, but as we get older, and if her hands get smaller, the ring will get bigger, so it'll look like that. It'll be an illusion.
So how many do you have?
3. Okay. So I have 3 wedding bands. I have one that has a large diamond on it that I kind of refuse to wear to work because I'm not a suit and tie guy and I'm in the moment. So I am moving and I am grooving. And then I have it every day. And then I have that one that's just, when I need to do what I need to do, when I need to get so fresh and so clean and I want to stun on them a little bit, I'll pull out the good carrot and wear that. But outside of that, it's just really, it's a testament of your love and it's a symbol. It is not your love. I want to go back and say that. The ring is not your love. It's symbolic of your love.
Absolutely.
But it's not your love.
Absolutely.
It's symbolic. Absolutely. So whether it be a braid tie on the finger, a tattoo around your finger, remember that it's just a symbol. It's a symbol of a circle creating a union. Absolutely. But it is not your love for that individual that's in the ring. It's how you treat them, how you honor them, and how you make sure that you two are working together.
Absolutely.
We got any other questions? That girl said she wanted to say 7 for every day of the week. Who is this? Now, Dwayne, brother, I'd be broke if I had to do that.
It really is. It's all about the respect, the way you take care of each other, because you do. We are who we are. We like what we like, and for him to be good means that I'm good, and for me to be good means that he's good. Mm-hmm. He's quick to tell anybody, "I'm okay," as long as she's okay.
Enough said.
I really can't ask for anything else. If he's okay, I'm okay. It's just the way that we do things. It's the way that we operate. We work, we come home, and we enjoy being at home with each other, even though we love to hit the road. But we have created here what we want, and that's all. It's all in your relationship is creating.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Creating the environment that you want, the environment that you desire, the environment that you can grow in, and to have somebody that you can come home to. Whatever happened during the course of your day, you can come home to that person, and that's your everything. So that's your everything.
So just to attest to when I talked about becoming executive director again and really not wanting to do that. When you're sitting in front of a board of directors for a $1 million company and they're asking you to be the executive director of that company, how many people you know say, I need a night to think about it because I got to go home and discuss that with my wife? Because that was a big move for her. And because my position is so kind of out in front, it has changed a lot of things we do. You know, I want to barbecue on Saturday and smoke a nice cigar and enjoy some frosted beverages. Have any, I just can't run to the store with what I got on because that's not the way that the public sees me. Another thing that I also saw was the company was kind of struggling when I took over. And when the board talked to me about just kind of being the executive director, I said, they asked me what did I want from them. And I told them the leeway for Jay to be Jay and to do the things that I need to do. And they said, okay, what does that look like? The first thing I said was I need a social media director and it has to be my wife. And they all kind of looked and like, you're not asking for money. You're not asking for nothing. No, I need a social media director. And so as we build, don't be afraid to ask for things that are going to enable you to make it to your goals. Don't be afraid to ask for anything that you think will get you to your next step in life. A closed mouth won't get fed. I'm always betting on me. Even if it's 2 a.m. and I'm up grinding and I'm writing and I'm wondering how to take care of these individuals who are homeless and how do I afford them some luxuries that they call luxuries, but I think are just things of normal life. You know, my shelter, we pride ourselves on, we have waxed floors in our shelter. We've painted our shelter 3 times in 1 year because if it gets dingy or dirty, we got to fix it. So it's about pride. It's about affording people the opportunity that's really not any different. How do you help the next person? Which is kind of why MzBee, I am on this live because I think that that's what I do. This is just an extension of my 8 to 5. So on Wednesdays, it's just coming home and kind of doing it virtually for me, and keep things going. If it's what?
I don't know what it's doing.
It's doing what it's doing. So Dwayne says in the beginning he couldn't stand her.
That was me. And like I said, I was not. This is not. I was like, no. He had tell the story of when we were in school when he had the entire school on lock looking for me, and yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So and I'm gonna share this because I again. The 8:30 time frame doesn't bother me, MzBee. You kind of let us know what we need to do. So after I met Trina through a mutual friend, I didn't see her for about 2 weeks. I'm a member of a bunch of organizations. I'm a member of several Masonic bodies. I'm a member of a lot of stuff. So I actually had a group of 9 guys running around campus trying to locate her so that they were going to presumably hold her there until I got there to try to talk to her. But, you know, at the end of the day, it didn't work. It still took 2 weeks, and I think I finally ran up on her myself. But it's what you do. Yes, Jocelyn. Yes, Jocelyn. I am that cute. And it's okay. I know that comes with a mixed bag. But it's what I want to do. So she hid from you. No, she didn't hide. She was just doing her own thing. And again, there was probably a 10% interest when we first met. Again, for me it was, how do I find this lady how do I, do the things that I need to do? Root to the good bros, Jocelyn. How do I do the things that I need to do to find her? So yes, there was a search party that was out to find Katrina Lawson because I had to talk to her, because at that point I kind of wanted to tell her what was on my mind, and it worked. I mean, we were best friends, and that's where we are today. Again, if we can't do it jointly, then it's probably not for me. Now I do afford her all the makeup stuff she can do. All of the stuff that you ladies do with MzBee really doesn't have anything to do with me. I really don't have too much to do with it. I chime in every now and then just because I like to pick on MzBee a little bit. But outside of that, this is just who we are. And what we're sharing is just what we went through. Mm-hmm. And if it helps, we're up to like 14 people. If it helps 3 out of 14, I'm all good for doing this every Wednesday. Because we need it. It would have been great that we had this venue when we were kind of dating. So, I appreciate the platform, MzBee. I appreciate the empowerment piece. I also am happy to see my brother Dwayne on here, because I kept asking, is there going to be any guys on here? Thank you,
Dwayne.
Thank you, Dwayne. Big ups to you. And I see we got Miss French on the line. She snuck in on us. I didn't see it. Aaron, how are you? How's it going? So you guys work together. No, we don't work together, Dwayne.
Technically, we don't work together. He has his job. I have a job, but I also have a job in his job.
Yep.
A lot of things that he does at his job, I am a part of, because I'm interested in all things him. Like I said, I have my own separate job, but I am the social media director for his job. When he has speaking engagements, when he has somewhere to be, I'm there because I'm his biggest fan. I'm his biggest supporter. I'm the one that he can look out and see a familiar face when he's in a room full of people that he doesn't know or has never seen. So his job, I work his job because he works his job, and I'm that interested in what he has going on in his life. The stresses, the stresses of his job. I'm the one that he can lay his head on the shoulder when he comes home, that he can talk to about whatever. And that comes in time. It comes with being vested in the person that you're with. Whatever they do, it means something to you. He's a part of me and I'm a part of him. So whatever he has going on, I'm there. I'm in it. I'm his bounce the ideas off of. I'm like, okay, honey, that don't make no sense. So, I'm the, okay, honey, yes, that's fine. I'm the, so in that, that's just how we operate. There's, like I said, we have our own separate everything, but at some point in time, the separate becomes us, we. What do we do? How do we do this? Mm-hmm. What do you need from me? There's always the question, what do you need from me? If your mate can't get what they need from you, where in the heck are they supposed to get it from?
Miss French, is this Pooty or Putty? Mm-hmm. One of your questions was, how do we balance that work and home? The reason that a lot of relationships don't have balance is because no one talks about what they do at work, because it's supposed to be this big secret. You can't have balance if you're not talking about it. Mm-hmm. Right? You can't have balance. How can you kind of put two marbles on a teeter-totter, but you don't talk? So, whether your husband or boyfriend or boo thing or whatever category he falls in today, if he's out there building houses and you're an accountant at a bank, there's always something that will tie you two together. Have that conversation. Mm-hmm. When you kind of don't share how your day goes, because in my history of dating prior to being married, every woman loves for a man to ask them, honey, how did your day go today? So if you're not answering that question, eventually we're not going to ask you that question. And then there's a problem because you leave that room for doubt. Well, why doesn't she talk about her job? Or why can't I ask her about her job? So a lot of that is find the time to do that. Your goals, your balance. I don't have to mentor you and tell you what to do in your job. I'm just generally saying, are you okay? Are you safe? Is everything good? You got what you need? Can I help you out? I'm a numbers guy, right? I see numbers and I go in on numbers. I'm a numbers dude. I'm just a money guy. I like counting money. So how can I help her in her job? And in return, she can come back and tell me some things that are able to help me. So that balance is, when you think about the seesaw, you can't balance the seesaw with one person. There has to be somebody on the other end or an object on the other end. Why don't that other object be your mate? So as that is your mate, now you can kind of balance because you're having those conversations.
And it a lot of things are solved with a conversation. A lot of things are made easier with a conversation. Sometimes conversation is hard, but you have to make time for the things that you want. Make time for the things that are important to you. If it's bothering you, if it's successful, if it's whatever, you have to make that time. It can be 5 minutes. We can stop in the doorway and say, hey, whatever. And that just solved the whole issue that, might have come later or whatever. But it's all in a conversation. And my work life is pretty simple. Pretty simple. Like I said, I'm vested in a lot of things that he does because I know his job is stressful. I know what it takes for him to do his job. So I am here to help him with all of that. And at the same time, his job is 24/7. Mine is 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I shut it off and I'm done. He can't do that. So why I help him, lighten his load some. Because my job, 2 o'clock, I'm done. His job can go on all night long. And then, there are the times that I have to tell him, baby, we need to get away. We need to get away. You've done enough. You've done too much. You've pushed the limit. We need to get away. MzBee, that's why we always in Atlanta. You need to get away. You have to know and figure out, what's going on with the other person. Are they stressed? Are they whatever's going on with them? You need to be able to pick up on that kind of stuff without even saying anything. I can tell when something is off. Something is off. Okay, I need to hop into motion because something is off. So that's like, okay, baby, what do you need? What's going on? I'm on whatever. I'm planning a trip for the weekend. I'm packing the bag, putting it in the car. I need you to come home Friday at 2 p.m. when I get home. I need you to be home and we going away for the weekend or whatever. It's just things that you pick up on. The more you talk, the more you're together, the more you have to pay attention. We get so caught up in our own thing. We get so caught up in so many other things. But you have to pay attention to your mate. He knows when something is wrong with me. Sometimes even before I think I know something's wrong with me, he knows something is wrong. He knows when something is wrong with me. And it's just like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? You have to ask questions. You just have to conversate. You have to. Even, just like, okay, whatever. I don't want to talk about it. I'm that way. Sometimes I don't want to talk about it. But that's not fair to him, to have to deal with whatever it is that I could have just told him about and we could have been done with it or whatever. But you have to be in tune with each other to just say, okay, we need to talk. Or you have to say, okay, I'm going to put the clothes in the bag. They'll be in the car when you get home and we gone for the weekend. You have to understand, everything that goes on in their life. That's why I want to know about his job. What happened today, that didn't happen yesterday or whatever. So I want to know those kind of things. And that comes from, just talking to him or just being there with him, to know what he's dealing with.
So a couple of other questions I want to hit before we do a time check here. Dwayne, his lady's a manager and he owns his own business. that's kind of a match made in heaven because she's going to want to tell you what to do with your business. How do you manage the really stressful times at work and home? And Jocelyn, you kind of answered that question too for me when you said that you've learned that we should have those conversations from the beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, without getting into, you know, some rhetoric, and we'll get into it as we go Wednesday. I read a lot, and you know, we used to talk about the temples. And again, I like analogies. We talked about the temples, right? The temples in Egypt, and most people don't understand that there was a front door to a temple and there was a back door to a temple. It was still a temple, by the way. But individuals that entered through the front of the temple were individuals who communicated well, who had a status, who had partnership, and who was vested in the building of the temple. Individuals that came or entered the temple from the rear were individuals who kind of worked in the temple, built the temple, and kind of made sure that the temple stayed running. All that to say that you hit it front end. You walk in the front door and you work your way through. Have those conversations, as Jocelyn mentioned. Have those conversations. Be upfront. Triggers. Talk to your mate about things that just kind of set you off.
Absolutely.
And Dwayne, that may be just me to you. And thank you for listening, Dwayne. Talk to your lady about what pisses you off, to just be point blank. What happens? What kind of gets you off of your normal? Because those are things that your lady needs to know, because sometimes she can sense when you're getting a little irritated, and she has the ability to nip that in the bud, right? For me, again, I think my golden rule is, as long as she's okay, I'm okay. But you got a big problem if she's not okay. And there's some telltales, like when people start to get on my nerves, I rub the back of my head, or I kind of tilt my head to the left and I kind of pop my shoulders. That's me kind of saying, okay, you're about to enter that little terror dome that you may not want to go through. But have those conversations and do the things that, you know, really are meaningful to you. And that goes with how you address your lady. That goes with how you treat your lady. All of that is important. You know, what do you do when the times are rough, right? You sit down and you have conversations. If you don't have those conversations, then there's just room for doubt. And if you have room for doubt, then there's an issue. Lord Jesus, Alyssa Moore Woods is watching. What's going on? So those are things that you want to do. Those are things that we really try to get going. It's to be the best that we can be and do the best that you can do. We were going to give you an hour. We've probably gone over that hour. MzBee, did we bore you? Did we run you off the live, MzBee? At this point here, this is that Real Talk with K and J. Wednesdays, 7:30. And we'll continue to field your questions. We'll continue to do the things that we continue to do. Build your questions today, right? Start asking questions. Start writing them down. Again, what we say doesn't make us experts. We can only talk about what's expert in our life.
Right. How we live for real. Like I said, we're not, it's not reality TV. It's not scripted. It's not whatever. It's how we live our life for real. And we just kind of want to, talk to you guys, share, answer questions, that kind of thing. We appreciate you guys for hopping on, chatting with us. We look forward to this, on Wednesday, like you said, on Wednesday nights at 7:30. There's a lot of, questions. There's a lot of things that, you have people in your life that you don't necessarily talk to about your personal, private, whatever. we just kind of want to have that dialogue with some people and be like, okay, we just a real couple, with our everyday life, our everyday struggles, our everyday love, our everyday, that kind of thing. So we just kind of, just want to be real with talking about whatever it is that, that we talk about, what you guys want to talk about, answer your questions, ask you guys some things. Like I said, we know people that aren't married, couples that aren't married, couples that have been married for a year, couples that have been married for 20, 30 years. We want to ask questions as well, but we just kind of want to have dialogue, real things, real life. Like I said, the way we live our life. Just kind of if we can help somebody out and somebody can help us out, like I said, we're no experts, we're no relationship experts, we're no that. We're Katrina and Jay, the way we live our life on a daily basis. And we really want to thank you guys for hopping on with us. We'll be doing this, like I said, every Wednesday at 7:30. If something happens, we'll let you guys know. We'll let MzBee know. We appreciate her for giving us this opportunity. And we really want to thank you guys.
Yep. All I got to say is stay safe, stay healthy, honor each other. And until next time, we'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye. Bye.